Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and the newest core set has been announced. And well, this guy Brann Bronzebeard, who reigned terror all year long, will not be a part of it. But what cards are going to take his place and dominate the standard game, or at least have a lot of impact? And today I thought I'd go over my picks on what I think will be the most impactful additions to the core set, cards that you'll be able to play when the expansion goes live, which we still don't know the official date. My guess is April 11th, but we should find out pretty soon. And speaking of that expansion, if you haven't entered our giveaway, it's got the thumbnail there. It's in the description below. I'm giving away 2 regular pre-orders, 3 mega bundles out of my pocket every 1,000 subs we hit. Until all the cards are revealed, I will add another mega bundle. So hit that sub button and make me go broke. So what cards do I think will dominate standard? Let's take a look. First, we have Ancestral Knowledge, the Shaman spell that sees play in Wild to this day, especially in like Spirit of the Frog OTK Shaman, but that deck doesn't see a lot of play these days. It's all the way back from the Grand Tournament, but it's been buffed. This Overload 2 will read Overload 1, and Shamans always lacked like good card draw, and this is just solid, great card draw. We have already seen very synergistic cards revealed for Shaman, including like the new legendary that discounts your Overload cards by 1 for the rest of the game. All of a sudden, this is 1 mana draw to Overload 1, and we still have the tradable that will, you know, be able to get rid of your Overload. It's just going to make this allow these Overload decks to really cycle, do their thing, and well, cheat some mana. It's going to be a pretty darn strong card. Prime Street Outfitter is another card to really look out for, as this is getting buffed to a 2/2, and it's been a pretty much a good card in Wild most of its run. It's all the way back from Mean Streets. Ironically, back in Mean Streets, card didn't see a lot of play because there just wasn't enough draw to make it work. And well, with all the Divine Shield shenanigans going on in Paladin, I think this card is something to look out for and could do very well. Mage will be getting an absolutely incredible tool that has seen play through most of Wild's history. Stargazer Luna was from the Boomsday Project, and basically after you play the rightmost card in your hand, you draw a card. Obviously, it was supposed to go with like Luna's Pocket Galaxy, which yes, is busted with that after you play that and just spam your 1 mana cards. But even just like a cheap aggro deck, an aggro mage is one of the best decks in the game right now, can be really good. It has seen play in like Secret Mage and other decks throughout its time. Just hitting like 1 or 2 cards is fine, but you can absolutely high roll it if it sticks around. It just wins the game, and I do expect this to see real play from Mage going forward. Druid is going to love having both Lunar Eclipse back and, probably more importantly, Solar Eclipse back. They were in standard not that long ago. They're from Darkmoon Faire, and due process kind of terrifies me. Mill strategy is really frustrating and very prominent, at least in Wild, but you don't have Guff to kind of alleviate that, where I'm drawing all these cards, I could just play them because I have 20 mana. That isn't a thing, but still, just doubling up on pretty much any spell for relatively cheap. It's just super strong. And of course, Lunar Eclipse just allows you to basically, you know, get your spells in, get some, remove something, cheat another spell. Always saw a good amount of play, still does to this day. The eclipses will be very, very powerful, and basically you're going to see a ton of them in pretty much all non-super aggressive Druid decks. Crimson Clergy is a really surprising card that's going to see play. I mean, you look at this is terrible. This is what its version is now, but once the new version goes live, that when you overheal, draw a card, basically every cheap heal card will just cycle your deck in, and this buff will be very relevant in Wild as well, where Radiant Elemental is rotating and well, is still there, and there's a way more cheap effects to abuse this. This will be an insane draw engine that will make Northshire Cleric blush. Do not sleep on this buff. This card is scary. Mutinous may be leaving standard, but Dirty Rat, it's a pretty good replacement, and you can run 2 of them and you will see a lot of this. You'll be happy that Brann's not around. You can't Brann Rat, and also Macaw's leaving for Shaman, so it's not as easy to recast. But still, having this tool, this disruption tool, to try and, you know, hit a key combo piece, get that Astalor, get that key win condition minion can be really powerful. And this card is super meta and wild. Throughout all the years, with all the power creep, you still play Dirty Rat in a ton of decks. This will definitely be popping up a lot, and it can be decent against aggro as it's got taunt. You just pull a tiny little token from an aggro deck, you can help defend yourself. So the card's got a lot of utility. You just hope to not pull a giant, minion and have it kill you. That can suck quite a bit. Another card that this card genuinely really surprised me that they put it into the core set. Dread Corsair, 4 mana 3/3 Pyre, costs 1 less per attack of your weapon. This is back in like classic basic, way back. OG Hearthstone card has always been really good because as long as you have 4 attack on your weapon, it's 0 mana. And it's one of the reason, that Pirate Rogue has been so good for so long is you can play this for 0 mana, and that pirate weapon is in standard, but there's no cutting class, no ship's cannon, no patches, no secret passage. Pirate Rogue still probably not going to take off, but any weapon deck that can consistently draw Dread Corsair and a 4-attack weapon will just want to play this. It's a 0 mana taunt, and it has historically seen a ton of play, even like evolved decks, right? You play it in an evolved deck and you play this for 0 and you evolve it, you get a 5-drop, and that even this card helped get, I can't remember what the evolved weapon is. I'll try and have a picture of it. That card nerfed back in the day. They took an attack off rather than nerfing this card. So look out, Dread Corsair. It might be a bit more of a sleeper card, but it's been one of those cards that have just always been good throughout the entire history of Hearthstone. Defile, although only given 1 star by Trump back in the day, is one of the best board clears of all time, and it's gonna be great in Warlock. It's still like auto include in most control Warlock decks in Wild. When the Frozen Throne event happened not that long ago, it went into all the control Warlock decks. It's gonna be everywhere. It's my favorite edition of the core set. I absolutely love the card, and I expect it to it'll be in all the control Warlock decks. It's just a no-brainer. It's so damn good. Ladari Studies is another one of those cards, the study cards that are just so good. Again, from Dark Moon Fair, where you discover an Outcast card, your next one costs 1 less. You can bank it, they stack, and when you have Outcast Demon Hunter, they're really trying to make that a thing, and it's really close. This card could really help put it over the top. You're going to see a lot of it, and you might get a little bit annoyed with the mana cheap, but at the end of the day, there's no cards, at least yet, like a Glide, like a Skull of Gul'dan, that are pretty tilting for your opponent to get. So we'll see how it plays out. The power level of the Outcast card, maybe not there, but maybe there. We'll see. But I do think this card will absolutely be a requirement in most Demon Hunter decks going forward. What would a core set be without a broken rogue card? Shatter Jeweler Hanar used to be a 1/5 back in the day, but after you play a secret, discover a secret from a different class, this card just really hard to kill. And when you have cards like Objection, you have cards like Counterspell, and I believe Cheat Death all in the freaking core set, and you're gonna be able to get it pretty reliably. Ironically, this little yellow emblem doesn't really represent Hanar so well. It's all the Paladin secrets will no longer be in core, which means you're going to be discovering only Hunter and Mage secrets, which means Objection is that much more likely. However, there's a downside to that. Not having that 1 mana spell, that 1 mana secret to chain when you miss your option, which does happen, is a big downside. It is actually a significant thing. I'm curious to see how it play out. Hanar may not be as powerful without that cheap cycle, or it may be more powerful by being able to hit Objection more often. Time will tell. I just wish we didn't have to find out. Last 2 cards we're going to take a look at, though, I do think will be the most powerful of the core set stuff, and they're both neutrals. And first we have Tour Guide. Tour Guide has just always been an auto-include card in basically every Warlock deck most of the time. Getting that one, you play it on 1, get life tap. It's just so powerful. It's so good. And when Defile is in the core set, this also helps set up Defile. It's so good in Warlock. And also, Dark Bishop Benedictus staying in Standard will also allow you to get that hero power. And we've seen that see play in Shadow Priest. And it's mana cheat on your hero power. You just play this for 1, you're cheating some mana. You get a body on the board. It's a no-brainer in a lot of decks. This saw play its entire run in Standard when it was in Skullman's all the way through. And I don't think that's going to be any different this time around either. And my number one is actually not Zilliax. I did want to talk about Zilliax, where I think it might see a little bit of play, but the power creep in the game is so crazy that this card just isn't what it used to be, unless there's a lot of really good mechs. And there are some additions to the core set with Magnetic. I just don't see this being that big of an impact in today's game. I do think it can pop up, but I don't think it'll be like that super popular, powerful card it used to be. Hell, the card doesn't see any play in Wild, where Reno decks are prevalent, Renathal decks are still existent. This card just doesn't do what it used to do, but I had to mention it because, well, it's Zilliax. We love the damn card, and I just don't see it popping off. Also, Dr. Boom, 7 mana. Yeah, that ain't happening ever. My top pick is Cult Neophyte, the 2 mana 3/2 against Skullman's Academy, neutral minion, Battlecry. Your opponent spells cost 1 more next turn. This is just always a good inclusion. Any aggressive deck, you spam the board, your opponent gets locked out, but you know, it's like a mini Lotheb. But the big part is Shadow Step remaining in the core set is always been so good in Rogue with Shadow Step, because you play Neophyte, you step it, you play it again, it's 0 mana, and now you have locations, you have all these other cards, Draka, where not only are you fueling that, making them bigger while bouncing Neophyte and all of that, well, you're also, you're just killing your opponent with these giant minions, giant weapons, and we have so many different bounce effects now for Rogue that we've already seen that, Cult Neophyte can be replayed over and over, and it's really hard to counteract somebody if your spells cost a lot. You're solely reliant on minions and I guess weapons to try and deal with that. And this card saw a ton of play back in the day, just like Tour Guide was like auto include in so many decks. And I think we're going to see a very similar thing, because Disruption, it's hard to come by, and especially when it's this cheap and well repeatable with Shadow Step, you're going to probably be seeing a lot of Cult Neophyte. So those are my picks for what I think are going to be the most powerful cards of this latest core set. There's a lot of strong additions. I'd love to hear what you guys think will be the best, what you think will be the worst. Card reveals continue tomorrow, so we'll have more reviews, so stay tuned for that. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.